What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I am, of course, your host, your bastard of ceremonies, Reckless Rexx Ruger, a.k.a. the son of glam, the front man for the band, adored by millions of fans, the peanut butter to your jam. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Mr. Wop, Babaloo, Bop, Wop, Bam, Bam, Shazam, hot damn. Woo. You might also know me, and this is the most important part, kids, so pay attention, a.k.a. Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. There is Pops right up there, looking down on his only son, with pride, I would hope. Obviously, I've taken after the old man with the rock star good looks that you've come to know and love. And I also bring you a great podcast, which you've come to know and love. And today is no different. I'm excited about today's guest. Had him on before. Love his band. Big news should be on the forefront for these guys. I'll let him tell you himself. Of course, I am the hardest working man in show business, fronting 2 podcasts on this channel. More on that later because my guest is here. We're going to get down to and chop it up. So let's go. Full of enthusiasm today, brimming with enthusiasm. And that's a lot, folks. That's a lot. Monty.
Hey.
Good to have you on here, man.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Yeah, yeah. You can see all the sports
Not
memorabilia
hearing
back
you
there.
yet.
Huh?
Oh, I bet I'm muted.
Yeah, you might be.
There you go.
Gotcha. Okay. Monty, how you doing, man?
Good, man. How you, Mark?
I'm good. So first of all, man, before I dive into any other questions, and I know that you do your rockcast, on your channel and do your own thing and are probably keeping fans up to speed. But for people that don't tap into that, though, what's going on? First of all, you guys must be overwhelmed, man. Far exceeded your Kickstarter, man, like for a new Galactic Cowboys album. I mean, the goal was, and the last time I talked to you, I don't even think it was in the works. And then I had Ben on, and it was in the works. And a staggering 88,000 plus of a $70,000 goal. So that's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, we were surprised.
Yeah. The people want it. The people, hey, always give the people what they want, right, Monty?
That's right.
And so where are we on that, though? For people that might want an update. So the Kickstarter went for only 60 days. So it wrapped up in September of 2024, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, we pretty much all year have been working on the album, writing songs. Then we recorded it at like 3 different places.
Okay.
And it's being mixed right now.
Okay.
So that's where it's at the moment. We're hoping to get it to the manufacturer and have them press it up. And I'm hoping that it'll be like available around maybe August.
And so on my channel, I do two separate podcasts. I do the music one, and then I have a boxing one as well. And I'm wondering, not to compare the 2 worlds, but because you guys haven't done an album since 2017, I often talk to boxers on here who haven't been in the ring in a while, and we talk about ring rust. Is there rust when you haven't made an album as a musician for a while, writing songs, creating songs? It is like kind of like a muscle, so to speak. Did you guys just kind of seamlessly dive right back into it?
Yeah, it wasn't hard at all. It been, I guess last one we worked on was in 2017. So it'd been a while.
Yeah.
But I hadn't even really been writing that much. And we found out we were going to do the album, and I thought, well, I better get on this. And so when we started the whole thing, I was like, well, I've got a few songs, but let's just start working. And Ben and Dane both had a couple songs. And so we got together, and within the week of pre-production and just writing, we had like 4 or 5 songs. And then I went home. We took about a month off, and I came back with, like 4 or 5 more songs, and we worked on those. And then we took another few weeks off, and I came back and I had a few more, and we ended up with 14 songs, and it just went very smoothly this time. And we added a new drummer, and we'll have to get into that. He unfortunately passed away right after he recorded his drum tracks.
Goodness. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And give a shout out to that guy. What's his name?
His name was Johnny Simmons, and we'd known him for a long time. He'd been a drummer in Houston and played on, some different albums. He played with a band for a while called Atomic Opera that maybe some people will know. And so I knew about him for a long time. And we finally got a hold of him and said, hey, would you like to come in and try it? And it was just real instant. The whole chemistry was great. He added a real kick in the pants. And he was just great, and we were loving it. And we went to San Antonio and recorded drum tracks and the bass at the same time. And after we were done that week, I said goodbye and told him I loved him. And like a week later, I got a call, and he was gone. And so very sad, but we're going to honor him with this album. And, it's really good. It's really strong stuff. I can't wait for people to hear it. The drums are just pounding. And
so utmost respect to him when that happens and he's done the recording process, and now you bring in somebody. How does that work for people that aren't familiar with the music industry? Obviously, the drums that he put down will stay. Somebody wouldn't want to come in and like redo those, right? That's all pressed and ready to go, right? So somebody would just be coming in were you guys to go play live shows. This would be somebody stepping in that role, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we had hired a producer. His name's Dan Carcos out of Nashville.
Okay.
And he had come to San Antonio and worked with us when we recorded the drums and the bass. And so he knew, he was a part of the recording of it. And so, we were all just like, of course, devastated. But at the same time, we were like, well, thank God, we've got Johnny's tracks.
Right.
And they sound amazing. And, we'll just finish recording the album and dedicate it to him. But it didn't change a lot because, at least we got, the drums and bass, done, and the songs were set, so that didn't change a lot, but we just, it was really hard to go through that.
Is it difficult for you because obviously, now you're in search of, I assume you're in search of another drummer, but obviously you being the bass player of the band, this is somebody that you want to lock in with and be part of a rhythm section with. How much of a say-so do you have in it? Is it a band decision? Is it more like based on like a feel? Is it playing with somebody? How much input does each individual band member have? I mean, as I said, you would be the rhythm section with this drummer.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't actually started looking for anybody yet. We'll do that probably after the album, is done. But
is it going to be one of those Primus type deals where everybody and their brother is going to be auditioning? Primus just got a new drummer, and it seemed like every time I went online, there was a new video, and it seemed like they were pretty open about the whole process. But it looked like everybody and their brother was trying to be the new Primus drummer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, we don't really have anybody in mind yet too much, but we'll see. It'll be a band decision. We'll, have to play with them and, see how it feels. I mean, initially we tried out, some drummers and, there were some guys that were awesome.
Yeah.
But the feel wasn't quite right, and we just were like, I don't know if this is the guy, even though he's great.
Right.
And then Johnny came in and it just all seemed to work. He had the same kind of vibe and
Right.
we locked in really well. And
when you say feel, for people that haven't played in bands, I might not understand that. Like when you say like someone comes in and plays and it's not the right feel, you know what I mean? Like what would that mean to somebody that's a non-musician? Is it just kind of like is it lifestyle? Is it just like meshing with somebody or seeing yourself being on the road or being in a studio for long amounts of time with somebody?
Yeah, it's all of that.
Yeah.
It's not just their drumming, it's their personality.
Yeah.
How do they gel with the other guys, with each other, and he just fit right in.
Right.
He was just such a great guy. But hopefully we'll find somebody else like that will fit.
But for people that don't understand, that is not a decision to be taken lightly. I've had tons of musicians on here who say, you know what I mean? Like, not to bring up a phrase that's been used a lot, but being in a band with somebody is like being in a relationship and or a marriage. It's not just about the music. As you said, it goes deeper than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got to be able to get along and, especially, live on the road.
Yeah.
You want somebody that can be kind of a friend.
Yeah. And you guys are that rare band too, where the nucleus of your lineup hasn't really changed. You haven't had a revolving door of bandmates like a lot of bands have.
Yeah, we went a long time with different guys. Dane actually played on the first two albums.
Yep.
And then left. And we went like what, 20 years with another guy, Wally Farkas. And then Dane came back and we did some reunion shows. And then he played on the last album in 2017. And so, we've kind of stuck with the core through most of it.
Yeah.
So.
What's been more beneficial, do you think? Because like when I was getting my bullet points together and stuff to talk to you about, I did read in several different articles, including your Wikipedia page, but just other things that rock journalists and stuff that's been written out there about you guys initially maybe not finding mainstream success, but then later on developing what's called a cult following. Is it better to have the mainstream success? Probably financially it is, man. But having a cult following is pretty cool too.
Yeah, I would have loved to had
the the mainstream probably pays the bills a little better, but
that would have been great. But as it is, honestly, we didn't even know how big a following we really had.
Yeah.
When we did this Kickstarter, we didn't know how it was going to go. We're like, you guess we'll actually raise the money. You think there's enough fans out there. And then we were surprised. Oh, wow. They really jumped in and did this for us. And we were amazed, flattered, overjoyed that we get, that we get to make a new album. And so, they're out there.
Whose idea was the Kickstarter, out of curiosity? I may have asked Ben this, but I'm not sure though. And was it a decision you guys that was it somebody's brainchild and somebody else in the band got the rest of you guys on board? Was it a group decision? I mean, because obviously a Kickstarter, as you said, it can either be wildly successful or go completely belly up, and maybe it's just crickets and nobody wants to lend any money to it. You know what I mean? Whose idea was it?
I don't remember for sure. I think Ben had talked about it. I think we'd been kicking it around for quite a while. My girlfriend Alex was, who is now my fiance. She'd been mentioning it, like, you guys ought to do a Kickstarter. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know, and I kind of told the guys. I said, I'm all for it. I don't know anything about a Kickstarter.
Right.
I said, if you guys want to do it, I'm all for it. So Ben kind of took charge of getting it up, the site and all that kind of stuff, and figuring out the tiers, of what people could donate to and all that. and he did a lot of work on it. Alex helped out a lot, just going on Facebook like constantly saying, "Hey, don't forget," So there was a lot of people that really helped try to promote it, but it worked.
Yeah, and now you have a lot of things on your plate, so I'm wondering, man, like, was music and a new album something that was even something you were even looking at? Could be, because I know that you do the painting, you do your own you do your own podcast. Was music even anything that was at the forefront of something you wanted to do? I know you guys are doing a new album. What was it on your radar initially?
I was always up for doing another album. Anytime anybody brought it up, I was like, "Oh, I'm totally down. I'll start writing and whatever." But I just didn't know if we could ever, raise the funds. I didn't know how it was feasible.
Right.
And once the Kickstarter thing came up, it was like, okay, well, we'll see if it works, And when it did, I was like, "Oh, great. This is fantastic. I can't wait."
Yeah. And what was the creative process like? Now, you said that you were writing songs and then dialing it back and taking a couple weeks off and coming back with a new batch of songs. Were you bringing in the lion's share of the ideas, or was it very collaborative?
I would say I brought in quite a bit. I did work with Ben. I'd have songs pretty much written, and I'd say, "Ben, do you want to write, the words to this?" And on their songs, we kind of got together in this practice room, and we kind of worked, out the arrangements and things like that. But they had their songs pretty well far along too. So, but yeah, all of it was, in the end, we all worked together to make it work and make it sound like us. And my songs aren't nearly as good, without Ben, on there.
And adding his touch. Yeah.
Yeah. And same with Dane, and I think I add a certain amount to their songs too. And so we're all, we're a team. But yeah, I did bring in a lot of stuff.
Now, for diehard Galactic Cowboys fans, when they hear this new stuff, will it be a vast departure or very similar to what they know the Galactic Cowboys sound to be?
Yeah, I think they're going to be very, very pleased. I think a lot of our fans have always talked about the first 2 or 3 albums. They loved what we did on Space in Your Face, and so forth. And I would say this is kind of a return to a lot of that. It's got, it's all, I think, consistently kind of heavy,
progressive, heavy. Yeah.
There's a lot of riffs, a lot of, all that's heavy, but there's also just the usual, harmony vocals, the catchy choruses, the, twists and turns that you probably aren't going to expect from our songs. And so I think they're really going to dig it. I love it. I love this new album. I think it's going to be one of our best. And
now, what can you divulge? Now, you said tentatively you guys were looking at the summertime. Has the album as of yet been titled? Is that something you're at liberty to say?
Well, I've been telling people that we're kind of between 2 titles.
Okay.
And let me know what you think.
Okay.
The first one is The Best Songs Ever Written.
Okay.
And then the other title that I came up with is The Best Album Ever Recorded in the History of Mankind.
Wow.
I know it's a long title.
You're setting the bar very high, too.
Yeah. Those are a couple we're kicking around. And then there's one other that, I probably can't divulge yet.
Okay.
So.
Okay. but I think a big question on fans' minds is because you guys have done this so long, but you're in different stages of like where you were obviously when you were younger. How much will we expect to see the Galactic Cowboys out on the road supporting these songs and playing these songs live? In what capacity will you guys be touring?
Yeah, I don't know. Again, money is always going to be an issue.
Yeah.
How do you do that? I think probably more likely is that we would want to, do some stints, where we go out for a week, play an area of the country, play some shows, and then come back and then go out again.
Right.
That's the best I can say. I can't really see us going on a long tour.
Yeah.
Like we did, in the 90s or anything, but
that's hard for anybody nowadays, though, it seems like.
Yeah, it is.
To sustain that.
Yeah. How do you afford it?
Yeah.
We have to pay our bills, so we can't just, do it for the fun of it like we'd like to.
Right. I mean, what's a comfortable itinerary anyway, though? Because I imagine as you get older, probably being away from your creature comforts is not all that easy either, right? Like tearing yourself away, like as you get older, it's probably touring probably wouldn't hold the joy that it would hold. Maybe I'm wrong about this, as when you were in your 20s and wanting to conquer the world.
Yeah,
I want to be home in my own bed at night.
Yeah, I've actually thought of that. I'm in my 60s now.
I get a lot of guys who come on here and say that they can't go beyond like 3 or 4 weeks. That's a comfortable number, and then they want to go home and take a break.
Sure, and I do. I make most of my money from just what I do here at home, which is paint and make paintings and do my art. And so, I mean, it would be fun. I just don't know. Like right now, like something may happen that we go, oh, okay, we can afford to do that, but I don't know. Without a label, without backing, I don't know.
I find it pretty remarkable, though, that the Kickstarter like so far exceeded that in such a short time. And really all that money was raised. I've got the numbers here from 579 backers. That's pretty damn good to raise over $88,000.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
A lot of them, we didn't expect, but a lot of them donated like the most you can donate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of them did it twice.
There's your rabid cult. I guess there's your rabid cult following right there, Monty. There they are. Yeah. They've spoken. Yeah, they've come out in droves.
Yeah, it was cool too because part of the deal, if you donated like $500, part of the deal was you could come to the studio when we were recording and hang out. We had like this 2-day thing in Houston where we opened the studio to the backers to come in and hang out, and it was a lot of fun. They came in. We had a deal where we had a bunch of them actually sing a background thing,
cool. That's
like a
cool.
game chorus, so they'll actually get to hear themselves on the album.
And that's cool because that's what a good Kickstarter is, though, man. Like when people do back, man, it is nice to offer those perks to them. It really is. Yeah,
it was cool. We gave them a deli tray, and they got to hang out and like hear and watch us, record some vocals and some harmonica and stuff like that. So yeah, it was fun.
And now, what about your own podcast? Because I was just listening to like a little bit of one relatively recently, and I believe you said on there it was episode 280, but you were kind of criticizing yourself, and I think this was kind of tongue-in-cheek, that you were on episode 280 over a 16-year span. So maybe you weren't as productive a podcaster as other people in the podcast world are. But you seem to like to work at your own pace, right? I mean, like there's really, it's really not a race when you're podcasting. And as I said, you got other things on your plate too.
Well, the deal with mine is that it takes me a long time to do them because I kind of record them over a space of time. You know,
Right.
it just takes me a while.
Yeah.
And I have to edit it all together. And, you know, I put little sound clips and stuff like that in there. And so they take me usually a couple of weeks to do them. And after I finish them, I'm like, I'm going to take a couple of weeks off, you know?
Yeah.
So I've ended up like trying to get one out a month, like one a month. And,
that's reasonable. Yeah,
you know,
that's reasonable.
I know it'd be better if I could, you know, be consistent, put one out the same time every week or whatever. But for me, I'm busy on other things, and I like to put out one a month, and it's what it is. You know, if people want to listen, I'm very thankful. But
I think that's the way it is with most podcasts, though. You know, I mean, there's such an influx of podcasts out there. I mean, everybody with a computer and a microphone right now that can reach out and touch somebody and get a hold of them fancies themselves a podcaster nowadays. It really is something that anybody can really do. So, I mean, there's lots of people that are trying it.
Yeah, everybody has a podcast now.
and there's only so many hours in the day and only so many that you can listen to, you know what I mean? So like everybody is, I mean, I you know, I'm thankful, and I've scratched and clawed my way, and I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers, which is the magic number to be able to monetize on YouTube, you know what I mean? Like where they'll pay you to put ads on your channel. But then I thought about it. I don't even know if I really want to do it, because then they want all this tax information, and then it's almost like a second job. And I you know, me and my wife both work in healthcare, but a couple of years we ended up upside down and we owed. Now we've gotten to where we just break even. I don't really want to upset that apple cart by a little bit of revenue that might trickle in from YouTube. If I was Joe Rogan, maybe it would be different, you know what I mean? But I have a meager independent podcast. I don't know that I really want to go down that road.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, hey, I just want to keep saying what I want to say, and I don't want anybody dictating it. I don't want to bow to the corporate, you know, sponsors and all that. And so that's kind of the way I've been. I just, you know, I just do what I want, and I don't answer to anybody. And if you like it, you know, great. If you don't, you know, that's fine too. But it's just me being me and talking and playing, you know, little clips and doing whatever I want. So that's the way
ramblings. It's the ramblings of demented old men like us, I guess, right? I mean, now here's a little tidbit that I don't think we talked about the first time, though, man. And I found this interesting, and I'm wondering if you guys ever met and made the correlation, man. But you are a cousin of the late great Dee Dee Ramone.
Yeah, in fact, I just did a painting of him. Can you see this?
Awesome, amazing. Yeah, I know. I've always admired your artwork, and
here's the
how much likeness. Yeah, how much likeness you're able to get of these people in a caricature. Often caricatures are cartoony, and you can see the person in there, but yours somehow managed to be cartoony, but yet very, very vivid and accurate.
Yeah, I've worked a long time at it.
And so did you and Dee Dee ever make the correlation, though? Did you ever get a chance to meet him? Did you ever know each other in this world?
I met him. One time I went to a Ramone show and got backstage afterwards and hung out, you know, we talked a little bit, and it was, it was really cool. I've admired him since I was like 18, you know, and found out about him, you know, wow, the Ramones, you know, and so I was a fan for a long time, never really had any kind of real relationship with him, but he's still, you know, still kind of a hero, inspiration.
And now I noticed the Kansas City stuff up there, but I know that you are now a transplant out to the Denver, Colorado area. So you probably, have you had to change sports teams?
Well, I started rooting for the Avalanche and the Nuggets when I moved here, and I've stayed a fan of them, but I'm still a Chiefs fan, and
Royals.
I want nothing to do with the Broncos. You know, sorry, but they're bitter rivals, and so still a Chiefs fan. Still root for the Royals in Kansas City. But those are my teams.
Are you able to give any kind of a status for those that might not know? How active is Crunchy doing anything with them at all?
Well, Crunchy is me, basically.
Right.
But that, that's kind of on hiatus at the time. I kind of just have dedicated my stuff to the Cowboys, and so I haven't really thought about doing anything else with that for the time being. When I was living in Kansas City, I went through two or three different lineups to go out and play live.
Yeah.
And that was fun. But I don't know. I just haven't done anything with that in a while, but I've still got those albums for sale on my website if anybody wants to check that stuff out. It's good.
What's the ingredient, man? Because I think a lot of young bands starting out, and of course the musical landscape has changed so much, how people digest music. Streaming is a big thing nowadays. Physical product, unless you're a collector, is not as prevalent. So much stuff from the days when we were younger has changed about the music landscape. Are you able to find stuff out there right now? New stuff that you enjoy? What's your own listening trend like when you're puttering around the house? Did you fall back on stuff that you're familiar with and listen to that stuff? Or are you able to go on and find anything like new music that captivates you?
Yeah, you know what I do while I'm painting, I'll turn the TV on and kind of have it in the background.
Yeah.
And I'll listen to YouTube, and if there's something cool, I'll glance up and see what it is. But I do that while I'm painting, and I've actually discovered some cool bands that way, where they they'll have one video and then it'll recommend another one.
Right.
The other day I discovered this band Dayseeker. They've been around for a while, but I don't know what you describe it as, but it was very melodic. It had some heaviness to it, but I was like, man, these guys are great. And so I kind of discover stuff that way, and I always go back sometimes to the old stuff that influenced me. And I watch a lot of concerts on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like last night I watched Saxon. I love these festival shows.
Yeah.
Where they have the multi-cameras.
Amazing footage, and it's a lot less hassle than being there in person.
Yeah. And so I like that. Alex and I are going to go see that. It's called something loud. I can't remember this festival, but it's got Kill Switch and a bunch of bands like that. We're gonna go to that.
Oh, is that out in Kentucky?
No, it's actually touring.
And okay.
There's one, and they're coming through Denver, and so I'm gonna, I like that kind of stuff. Super heavy kind of bands like Kill Switch and so we're going to go to that. But yeah, I listen to all kinds of stuff that, the new Wild Hearts album is awesome.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite bands of all time. So yeah, I'm all over the place like that.
You get out and see a lot of live acts. I mean, you still enjoy going out to see as much live music as possible, or do you kind of got to pick and choose? Concerts are so expensive nowadays.
Yeah, got to pick and choose because good God, they've just outpriced, everything. But last year we caught Helmet. We saw this band called the Architects. There's some of those. We even went and saw who else? I don't know. We don't get to go to many concerts though.
It's hard.
They're just so expensive, and it's like, oh well.
You must have to be. I mean, I imagine you got to attribute it to the fact that that the music itself just doesn't sell the way that it used to. That must be why people are trying to get more money for concerts. I would think, right? I mean,
yeah, I don't know if they're trying to catch up from the COVID thing where no one could play, and clubs weren't making any money and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I don't know whether it's Live Nations or Ticketmaster, or there's just this, kind of thing that is just ripping everyone off. I don't know why it's gotten so expensive, because
I just paid about $111 per ticket and took my son to see Metallica, Pantera, and Suicidal Tendencies. And I know everything goes up, but I couldn't help but comment on our way out there that Metallica was the first band that I saw in my teens, and it was only $18, much less $111. I understand everything goes up, but that's quite a drastic leap.
Oh yeah, those are that was my day. You know, you could go to a festival show for $15.
Yeah.
See 8 bands, and
not that I would expect to go see Metallica in 2025 for $18. I understand everything must go up or whatever, but I mean, to think that I'm still lining Metallica's pockets to the tune of $111. And mind you, these are for nosebleed seats as well. This is not me down in the snake pit. Snake pit is more around $1,700. That's a different tax bracket for me.
Yeah, man. I wanted to go see Iron Maiden. Yeah. And we looked at tickets, and like for nosebleeds, it was like $250 to $300 per ticket.
Crazy. I know.
I'm just like, I can't do it. As much as I'd love to see them, it's just can't do it.
For you, man, if there's anybody watching this, who is in a younger band, that was the point I was getting at earlier, before I got into asking you if you listen to that, like any newer music, man. Now, you, Ben, Alan, Dane, I talked about how like the nucleus of you guys has stayed together, man. How have you guys managed to do that, man? You know what I mean? Because you do see a lot of bands, as I said earlier, revolving cast of band members, infighting, guys can't stand each other, you know what I mean? Riffs, you know what I mean? Problems with money, or I wrote this, you didn't write this. Or how have you guys managed to avoid that? And you genuinely still seem like you really, really like each other.
Yeah, I mean, we have our moments, we have our disagreements.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I think what happened, we went through the 90s, like a 10-year span where we were making albums, touring, and there was a lot of friction sometimes. Yeah. And I finally said, listen, I'm done for a while. And I went and made like 3 solo albums. Yeah. And we took about 9 or 10 years off. And then when we came back together to do a reunion show, it was like, let's just have fun. Yeah. This is fun. It's good to see you guys again. And then, we maybe took another couple of years off, and then we played another show or another few shows. And each time it was just like, man, this is so fun. Why are we worried about little things or dickering about little things that don't matter? And because when you look back, you realize a lot of the stuff that you thought was so important, over time, it doesn't mean anything.
Right. I love the underlying message. I mean, like you're thinking about, the 4 of you guys, 5 of you guys being young guys, why you got into it in the first place. Sometimes that goes out of focus.
Oh yeah. And you start, there's always kind of little jealousies or resentment or, this and that enter into it. And I finally just got fed up with it. And I just moved, out of Houston. I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. But, over time you start talking about it again and thinking, man, it would be fun to play again, and this last time though, when we've done this new album, it was just like, the easiest, funnest time that I've ever had making an album. It was just, everybody got along. We just had a really good time doing it. And it was just a great experience. And I think it'll show, in the music too.
Did you guys give much thought to the length of the project? Like, I think earlier in the interview you had mentioned 14 songs. Now, I've talked to so many musicians on here, because people's attention span has dwindled. And as I said, people aren't just dropping the needle on an album no more like we used to when we were younger and just going for the ride, taking the whole experience. It seems like it's a track by track world. Oh, I like track 1 and 5 on that album, and then I'm going to keep it moving and find onto the next thing. You know what I mean? Did you deliberately think about how many songs and the length of the album? Because there are a lot of people who are wondering, is it an LP world? Is it an EP world? Is it back to a singles world? It just seems like people aren't just ingesting music the same way anymore. They just don't put on an album and enjoy the experience.
Well, I think because of who we are and what our fans are like, I think they're going to want as much as they can get,
especially with a Kickstarter album. That probably is the right move. Give them more than they bargained for.
Well, and that's what we like to do. We like to give them as much as we can because, you don't know if this will be your last album or not.
Right.
It won't be, but we just went in and just started working on songs, and really, I think all of them are really, really strong. I think it's going to be an album where you can go song to song to song, and wow, that's great. So I'm not worried about that. We did already talk about that when we do the vinyl. It'll have to be a double album.
Right.
And we may have to leave like a song off, but we do have like a bonus track that, we might have to leave off for the vinyl version.
Right.
But for the CDs, I think we just put it all on there. And I think people are going to really like it.
I like that old school approach, just saying the hell with it. Long gone, it seems like, are the days like when we get a 75-minute Metallica album. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like those days don't exist, and people just want something, 5-6 songs, 30 minutes, you know what I mean? Something on my ride to work that I can, that I can swallow and digest and like not have to spend, an hour plus like listening to. But then, there are us old school music fans, who still like a fully realized album, going from start to finish and taking the ride.
Yeah, I think if you like what we do, you're probably gonna like all of it,
Yeah. And you guys aren't the kind of band that can put out, I don't think, a 5-song EP. That's not you guys, I don't think.
Well, I would personally feel like I was kind of shortchanging people.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, when I see one of my favorite bands put out an EP, I'm always disappointed that it's not
especially if you've waited.
Yeah. Well, I'm an old school album guy.
Yeah.
I like listening to albums that have 10, 12 songs, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. We've told people how many songs are going to be on here probably, and no one's really complained so far. So,
well, I'm kind of the opinion that I think whether or not it's advertised or not, really, at the end of the day, every album really seems like a concept album, like wherein you're trying to tell a story and you're trying to do it with an X amount of songs. And you kind of, and I've also learned doing this podcast that there is a deliberateness like to the sequencing too. You know what I mean? One song running into another and kind of forming that whole journey.
Yeah. Hopefully it's going to be like that. We haven't sequenced it yet. But yeah, hopefully it's going to be a thing that kind of takes you on this ride from one song to the next. It's not a concept album. We did have a lot of stuff to say.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the way it worked out. I just kept coming up with these ideas for songs and for stuff that I wanted to express, and different musical things that I'd kind of been thinking about for years. And now
so some of these were ideas you had been sitting on then. I mean, this wasn't all new stuff. Did you dust off some notebooks, or did you have some stuff that you just kind of revisited?
Well, there is one song that I wrote for the last album in 2017, and we didn't end up even working it up.
Okay.
And so this time I was like, this is a really good song. We should try and learn this. So we did. And that's turned out really well. Most of these songs, though, I mean, by what I mean is, you know, I've been sitting for the last, you know, 5-6 years listening to music, and a lot of it was forming in my head.
Right.
And, you know, I went through some tough times about 4 years ago where I went through a divorce and all this stuff, and a real painful time. And I was, you know, I was coming up with song ideas through some of that.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I went back and like listened to some of the notes I'd made, and ended up forming some songs out of those ideas. But a lot of it was actually, some of it was just brand new.
Yeah.
That, I just had ideas for.
And your artwork, you know, before I let you out of here, man, you know, I know there's a lot of pictures, a lot of paintings. You just showed me the Dee Dee Ramone one. I do see on your page a lot of portraits done of famous people. But you can be commissioned to do any type of work for people that might not know, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. You know, I do just about anything. I've done family portraits. I've done, you know, rock stars for people that, you know, the thing with me is, it doesn't matter how obscure the person is or the musician or whatever, I will, you know, do it for you. Like I'm working on one right now of Dax Nielsen, which is Rick Nielsen's son, who plays drums for Cheap Trick now. Yeah. And there's a big Cheap Trick fan that likes my stuff. And he said, hey, would you do me a Dax Nielsen? And I was like, sure. You know, so I'm working on that right now. I get, you know, commissions to do, you know, t-shirt designs. I do all kinds of, you know, if you want your dog immortalized, I'll paint, you know, your dead dog. You know,
anything can be immortalized.
Yeah. Where is that? Oh, I just, you know, and here's an example. You know, I know everybody doesn't know who Ginger Wildheart is, but he's like
diehard music fans should know, though. Yeah, they should.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite, if not my favorite musician of all time. And so I did this painting, and I may just have to put it on my own wall. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you know, I do stuff that I like, people that most of the time I like. There are times when, you know, I'll throw in a Bruce Springsteen, even though I can't stand him. You know?
What is it about Bruce Springsteen you can't stand? Like, let's freaking share our general dislike for Bruce Springsteen, because I find that I don't buy into the hype either, and I'm not sure what it is, man. I mean, granted, you know, and maybe I'll take a whipping in the comment section. Maybe you'll take a whipping in the comment section of this video. I don't know. Maybe Bruce Springsteen is a national treasure, and I've just missed the boat completely. But I just don't get it. I don't know. What am I missing? I just don't get it, man. Okay, maybe he's written some great songs or whatever, man, but I just can't buy into all the hype that he's like God's gift. I mean, I maybe I've missed the boat. I mean,
you know, back in the early 80s, I went and saw him. Some guy had an extra ticket, and I went and saw Bruce Springsteen, and he played for like 3 hours, and it was a good show. It was all right. And I had a good time. Since then, though, it's just so many of these guys just turn into these just such blowhard, you know,
and then suddenly they all want to be Bob Dylan, and they all think that their political views matter more than the next guy. And you know, there's a lot of that.
They go over to Europe and start talking about what, you know, a terrible president we have, and you know, we're under a communist regime over there.
Yeah. I didn't know you were going to pull out the full Bruce Springsteen impression. I mean, I'm honored. Yeah, I find it. Yeah, I do find, man, that sometimes, man, I don't necessarily need to know my favorite actors or my favorite musicians and what, you know, I don't have to know them on that deep of a level. You know what I mean? I don't have to agree with them on their politics. I don't feel like I have to, you know, I don't feel like I don't even feel like I have to know their views. I remember walking hand in hand with my grandmother when I was little, going to vote. And I remember her coming out of the voting booth and us walking home and me asking her, 7 years old, who did you vote for? And she said, oh, you don't ever ask anybody that. It was a private thing back then. Nobody gave a shit and nobody asked about it, you know, who anybody voted for. You just kind of did it and you kept it to yourself. You didn't try to go around and twist people's arms or you know, filibuster for your favorite candidate or whatever. You know what I mean? You just kind of did it and you just kind of, you know, quietly.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's that I just don't agree with what they're saying, and that's why it bugs me. I've got my own, you know, opinions.
Absolutely.
I talk about it on my podcast, but one thing I don't do is I don't go on Facebook and start, you know, a bunch of crap with people. You know, if you want to know what I think about something, ask me and I'll tell you, or I'll say something on my podcast, but
that's the key right there, man. If you want to know, ask somebody. This whole, like, you know, kind of crowbarring it into every conversation and force feeding people your opinion is, I think, where social media in general has gotten a little nauseating, you know?
Yeah. And, you know,
everybody's an armchair coach. Everybody's an armchair, has an opinion on sports. Everybody's an armchair politician. Everybody's an armchair medical professional. I mean,
oh, yeah. Everyone's got to jump in and tell you what they think, and
everybody knows what's best for your favorite team and what moves they should make to make the team better. You know, I mean, it's very easy for us to sit home and do that, you know, I guess. And I guess now we've got platforms to be able to do it on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah. You know, something that drives me crazy is when we go to a ball game or a hockey thing. Yeah. And I'll say, you know, I'm at the Avalanche game, you know, and then somebody starts in the comments with, you know, go Penguins. Or, you know,
Or maybe they'll have to or maybe they'll have to tell you, or maybe they'll have to tell you that the Avalanche owner is a Democrat or something. You know what I mean? And what are you doing supporting them?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, I just wanted to tell everyone I'm at a game. That's all.
That's all. Yeah. Nothing more, nothing less. And so for people that might want to explore some of your artwork, man, like, where's the best way to tap in and get in contact with you?
Well, it's MontyColvinArt.com.
Okay.
And that's the place. I got paintings, I got prints, I got refrigerator magnets.
Yeah. You got it all. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fun thing, even if you want to just go see some art, you know?
Yeah.
It's a cool website, I think.
Yeah. And I'm super happy for you guys, man. And before I let you out of here, you know, I'm eagerly awaiting this album. I'm a longtime fan, and congratulations, man. And I'm so happy, man, because you guys are all such not only great guys and great musicians, man, but I'm glad that the fans, you know, gave a resounding yes. We want a new Galactic Cowboys album, and they really turned out in spades for this, which was beautiful to see.
Yeah, well, we appreciate them so much. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciate you having me on to
Absolutely.
talk about it. And we'll see what happens. I think, you know, at the least, it's going to be a really good album that people are really going to enjoy. Who knows if it'll do anything, you know?
Right.
I think our purpose was to give something to our fans that they would enjoy. And I really think we're gonna. I think it's gonna be one of our best.
Good. Well, listen, stay in touch, man, and we'll jump on here. We'll do it again after the album's out.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Mark. I appreciate it.
Awesome talking to you, Monty. We'll do this again, my friend. Good talking to you, buddy.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right, later. There he goes, folks. Monty Colvin, bass player for the amazing, yes, I will say amazing Galactic Cowboys, who I have seen live back in the 90s. Shout out to one of my oldest, dearest friends, Sean. He probably remembers, really quick story. We were front row at the Rome Capitol Theater in Rome, New York. There was a very tiny, I don't even want to say orchestra pit, just a very tiny gap between the stage and where seating actually started. And for Galactic Cowboys fans and for the band themselves, you guys will be happy to know that me and my friend Sean attempted to start a mosh pit, which was met with let's just say it was not welcomed at the Rome Capitol Theater. Well, then, don't have bands that are going to stir people up and want to get them pumped up. And it was nothing malicious. We were just trying to slam dance a little bit and just have, as Exodus says in Toxic Waltz, a little friendly, violent fun. Minus the violence, though. We would not have gone there, but we were just trying to show our exuberance for the fact that Galactic Cowboys was here in our backyard. And shame on the Rome Capitol Theater, at least circa early 90s, for shutting us down. God damn it, we wanted to mosh to the Galactic Cowboys. But we still had a hell of a good time. They put on a hell of a great show. They are a hell of a great band. And the good news is their fans have spoken. They had a Kickstarter last summer that went till about September of 2024, in which their goal was to raise $70,000 for a new Galactic Cowboys album. They raised over $88,000. So good news is that a new Galactic Cowboys album, as Monty said, is coming our way. Probably sometime, as he said, I think he said August. Sometime here in 2025. Guaranteed, we're going to get new music from the Galactic Cowboys. It's been since 2017. The last album was Long Way Back to the Moon, which came out in 2017. So we're going to get new music, and sounds like we'll get some live shows as well. Super happy for the guys, though, man. They are not only a great band and great musicians, but a great, solid bunch of guys, man. So couldn't be happier for them. Now let me go into promotion mode. Oh, also be sure to go and check out, as you said, as Monty said, I should say, his artwork. He does incredible likenesses. He can do anything you want. Go check it out. You can commission him to paint just about damn near anything. So if you're into that, go check out his artwork and go commission him to paint you something. That being said, now I'll go into promotion mode. Make sure to like and follow Off the Couch Boxing /PodScum on Facebook. And of course, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on this channel to stay tapped in. This is how we do it here. The most amazing and real conversations anywhere on planet Earth. When it's Off the Couch Boxing, it's people in the boxing world. When it's PodScum, it's your favorite musical artist and people from that world. Listen, I do it all. As you know, I'm the hardest working man in show business and the son of Diamond Dave Lee Roth Jr. That's important. I am going to get to go see him live in August. If any of his people are watching or listening to this, I'm trying to procure an interview with Diamond Dave, whether it's in person when he comes to my backyard in August or this way right here via the computer. I don't care, but it's going to bring it full circle, folks. How can I not have Pops on the podcast? Got to do it. Got to do it. Big shout out to Naeem from the Fun Loving Criminals, who really said, you know what, go for broke, take a shot at this, reach out to his management. You need to do this. So a big shout out to him. Of course, the Fun Loving Criminals, those are my guys, man. So thank you for the inspiration. You know what? I think I might have done it at the very beginning of the podcast, but I didn't really put a concerted effort. Now I'm reaching out and sending emails and trying to reach out to Diamond Dave's management company, publicist, whoever I can to secure an interview because I need him on this podcast. He is, after all, my long lost father. I'm his long lost son. The reunion has to happen. Let's just go on record and saying that. Even the Freddie Mercury puppet back here agrees. It must happen. And he's a great front man. He understands how us great front men are. He just does. So that being said, make sure to stay tapped in, man. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Again, thank you to Monty Colvin from the Galactic Cowboys. Be on the lookout for new music from them. And also remember to stay tapped in. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button until we get together and do this again. This is your boy, Reckless Rexx, reminding you to take it easy and keep it sleazy.